Yeah, no worries, Matt. I can try to speak louder. Is this better or?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, all right. Let's kick off. So I guess I was thinking about this presentation, and usually, the expectation from a Turkish mining engineer in Australia is more about, I think, a bit of an instruction to how to actually get to Australia and actually work at Australia. That has been the common request for years, actually, since I've been here. However, I'd like to take this opportunity because since we are quite boutique group who are actually interested in, joining a session like this, I would like to actually discuss things that are more fundamental than just coming to Australia. So I'd love to actually inspire you to draw your own path and actually really enjoy that on the way. So that's the pretty much main idea that I came up with some of the slides. Of course, a quotation from Aşık Veysel. Uzun ince bir yoldayım. Yürüyorum gündüz gece is pretty much what I've been doing, I think, for the last, I think, 10 to 15 years. Very, very dynamic lifestyle, relocating about 7 times different cities in the last 12 to 13 years. So it certainly has been a long road, and it's going. I'd like to talk about the journey of transformation. Let me know if you can't read the slides or anything else. But so I guess I've got a personal purpose, and I really suggest everyone should get one, and there's a process to get it actually, and I can talk about that later. So my purpose is to create, nurture, maintain an environment of growth and challenge and satisfaction for all around me. That's including like my family, my workplace, or anything that I attend to. So this presentation is about a very personal tour of my major life events in the context of self-transformation and growth, and hoping to inspire you to transform and reshape the earth as mining engineers. I think if I can achieve that in this presentation, I'll be quite happy. This is very interesting. Something that I've done recently for my MBA studies. It wasn't requested, but I thought as an engineer, as you would do, you'd like to chart everything. So pretty much I've noted down the major events that have actually happened through the last 20 years or 30 years, and actually plot them on a ranging scale of what happened. And it is clear that life is not just always going upwards, and there's always downwards and upwards. So it's a cyclic thing, but I believe the learnings from those events are the things that actually gets you even higher. So I'll go pretty quickly. A bit of a background. I was born in Ankara. Very middle-class family, really supporting. So with each slide, I'm trying to focus on a certain trait that actually I gained through that major event. I think living with a supporting family, that is actually working family, really hard-working family. I've actually learned that life is all about honesty and being, and keeping your integrity is extremely important. So that's pretty much my biggest learnings from my family. Of course, into 2001, where I was a teenager, around high school to early university, we had a relatively tough time. especially with 2001 crisis. My father lost his job for extended periods of time, and you know, it was up to, you know, 6 to 7 years with no job in banking sector. So I think in this slide, the message that I'd like to relay to you guys is you could have tough times, and you might be having tough times at the moment. First, make sure you learn something out of that, and secondly, make sure you actually talk to people. You get support, even if you're in the same position with your friend. Talk about it and keep your mental health. And also, you know, there are people that actually would love to help you. So if you actually go out there and look for help, they will help you. And that happened to me multiple times through this time. So really thankful and grateful to my family and extended family. Nihat Soyer, who's again a Middle East Technical University mining alumni, who helped me get a scholarship for me to, you know, to continue some of my studies. So I guess through that tough times, what I've learned is actually to be resilient and look still for opportunities and keep positive. High school. So I'd like to actually mention a few people as well along these slides that actually influenced me. Definitely Pınar Hoca was the biggest influencer of my high school times, and even now we have been friends and we are catching up frequently. So what was different about Pınar Hoca was actually she was the way she actually managed the class, the way she actually went through the course was completely unique to any other teachers that we actually saw. And she actually knew what was important for us to think about, to dream about. So being that open-minded has extremely influenced me. And also I did some Model United Nations, you know, club activities, which is like you join as high school students, you join a conference of multiple, you know, 300 students, and you give speeches, and you try to solve world issues like a UN simulation. And in there, I've really learned how to actually do public speaking quite easily in English. So that helped immensely. So I guess my take from this to you guys is make sure you take those opportunities if you have those available, especially at school. Again, the Middle East Technical University experiences, of course, internships have always been fun. So a photo from Çayeli Bakır, a photo from Elbistan with the bucket wheel excavator over there, and of course IJ, where we've actually actively coordinated multiple activities for, you know, European students all together in Turkey. So that was both fun, and it also was, you know, we were quite lucky. Like as a Middle East Technical University student, we are always quite lucky in regards to the number of student clubs, and I hope, you know, that quality is still there for those clubs at the moment. But they've really helped us, you know, shape our mind frame around, you know, really being open-minded, you know, becoming a world citizen, and also showing that there's always other opportunities that we probably aren't aware of, that we should be looking, like summer universities of IJ and stuff like that. So definitely unforgettable years. Again, personal, I guess, role model, Şebnem Düzgün. I think she also joined one of the webinars recently for this group. Certainly the course that she actually gave us on mine rehabilitation, called reclamation at the time, was probably the best course we've seen across the curriculum in regards to being so up to date. We've actually gone through Australian mine closure rules and regulations, standards. We went through Canada. So that really actually prepared, us towards what's actually out there for us in the future in regards to the opportunities and problems in mining. And certainly going forward, greenhouse gases, mine rehabilitation, mine closure, and social responsibility are the major events that are coming up that is picking up so much attention across the business and also across the stakeholders. So certainly that was a game changer course. The other thing is I would like to mention is about initiative for action, which is pretty much making sure that if you see an opportunity, and if it could actually be quite far away from you, make sure you do the actions to try your best, give your best to actually achieve those. Which I did with the Erasmus agreement. We didn't have an Erasmus agreement at the time for mining department. So we actually did the first agreement with Delft, which was interesting because they were actually only offering master class courses, and we still got away with it and pretty much got full year Erasmus signed up. So that was also awesome. Yeah, Erasmus year was fascinating in Delft. Probably not in Delft. I have visited, I think, 12 countries in Europe. But the highlight was, I guess, this is where I actually met my my future wife, or now my wife. Where this is also where I've met my lifelong friendships. Now everybody's in almost like across the world, but we still catch up, almost every weekend on WhatsApp and stuff. So it's extremely important to also get out of your house, your dormitory, to somewhere outside, and actually start like really cooking food, and learning life skills is extremely important. And of course, making cakes in Holland was something that we really specialized towards the end of it. So I was quite lucky throughout that Erasmus period. Egemen was talking about networking and importance of networking. So I think we've used that opportunity at Erasmus quite well. Myself and Adam Kaydın, who's also from the same class, we got accepted to this, master's program of Erasmus Mundus. So it was a quite diverse group, 4 countries that we visited and studied in a year, with 19 students and from 9 different ethnic backgrounds. So in that sense, working as a group in the assignments with total different backgrounds have been actually fantastic. And we actually learned how to cope with that and actually really excel at it. So certainly I would advise this group to have a search and also get more information from me later if you're interested in a master's program like this. Really excellent opportunity. So at the end you actually get two master's degrees, so double diploma. And you choose actually from 4 universities. You choose 2 to get your degree. Mine is from Aachen and Delft, but there are options in Helsinki, Finland, and also UK, where we've all been with these 19 students. And pretty much towards the end of the master's studies, I was actually sending applications out to the world like crazy. Towards the last 3 months, I've applied 15 significant jobs all around the world, mostly Australia and Canada. And my choices were because of the productivity and the safety of mining. So pretty much that's why I chose to apply them. And I got lucky. Again, I think there's a pattern here with the networking that we've done at the Masters. We've actually found a list of alumni from this Masters group. And I was applying the jobs, and also I was actually sending emails to the people that are working in that company in my alumni list. So I got quite lucky, but Thomas helped me out, and with a reference, I was in. So that's a graduate program of Anglo-American, so fully sponsored on the visa 457. So came to Australia with, I think, $300 to $500 in my pocket as a pocket money that my dad gave me, and pretty much you can see on the picture, that's the bed that I bought like after my first salary. And then pretty much I kept building the house every year, every month. So the next month I bought a fridge. So you go through that journey quite easily if you had that past of resilience, as I mentioned before. So nothing is as bright as it seems when you first look at it, but things get better if you persevere. In this team, Drayton mine, it's a very complex mine. It's actually closed now. It has been running for 27 years when I joined, and it's closed in, I think, 2 to 3 years ago after 33, 34 years of age. The mine is closed because of diminished reserves. So in that sense, it was fascinating. It was a quite developed mine with lots of processes, but a really complex mine in geology with like 30-meter thrust faults, sliding faults, and multi-seam coal operation. So most of the coal was, or all of the coal was externally sold and shipped as a thermal product, and some PCI met coal. Yeah, the team culture in that team has really left a positive impact on the rest of my career, and I think I carried that over to the next job that I actually jumped in to try to create that similar culture within my team and group. That's a 5600 that we are just standing in front of it, where we introduced a new equipment to the mine, which was quite exciting. Again, at Drayton, I'd like to mention Eric and Sean. So they have been my supervisors and managers. So Eric was my supervisor, Sean was my manager. And as you can see with the glasses of Rucker in their hands, we had some good times. But it's so important to stick to the people you think that feels for you right, and doing the right thing. So choosing those role models and mentors are extremely important on where the next chapter of your life is going to look like. So in the first couple of weekends of that job, Sean actually asked me, "What is your goal, mate? Like, what do you want to do?" And I was actually quite shocked in the first instance because to that point, my goal was only to come to Australia and start working as an engineer. But the question was like, what do you want to do in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, which I really didn't think of it before. So that, and then Sean said me like, "This is your task. You need to go home and work this out." And I get back home to my the sofa that I borrowed from Eric, and really thought this through, and said, you can't just do a career plan if you're not thinking about other things and other aspects of your life. So the timelines you see there is different. For example, aspects of my life. There's There's what's my wife gonna do? What's are we gonna get kids? What's the am I going to go and study something else? Which roles do I want to be? By which year? So pretty much I did a life plan, which was a great thing to do in your first year as a professional mining engineer, and I would definitely recommend. This is something I'm still using to reconcile myself against, every now and then, to check how I'm tracking and see what changes. Of course, not everything happens according to plan, which is normal, but something else happens that offsets, that. While I get some mining engineering audience, I'd love to go through some of the cool tools that we used. I'm quite interested, actually, if you guys have heard of this before, 3D Dig. I'm not sure if you guys have used it, are using it, but it's a very simple and powerful tool for open cut coal mines and really open cut mines in general. It has the ability to simulate, diggers, trucks, drag lines, those who push cast. It can simulate like a cast profile, a blast profile. So, and it doesn't work like your normal CAD programs. It actually works. For example, you draw a polygon, and you just say how deep you want to dig, and you click, for example, dig, and it will actually go and dig to a set of easy assumptions. That way, the model itself behaves like the real mine, and it actually looks like the real mine. So visually, it's amazing, and it also actually teaches so much about the mining principles to a new engineer, and also it actually gives so much visual stuff to the production engineer that you can take your plans and show bit by bit, how we would like to attack a certain excavation. So extremely cool program. I've got contacts. Like if any of you guys would love to get a demo or like a trial license for studying purposes, like feel free to contact me afterwards. We can always ask the question, and they have been quite nice to me over the years. So another thing we did at Drayton was to actually do a complete plan, do, check, act cycle. So what we mean by that is with 27 years of historical actuals database at the mine, we were quite lucky that engineers also had diaries of things in database format for excavated productivities and the conditions on that productivity. So we really use that database to come up with a bit of a risk matrix with a statistical approach, also using the mine plan to understand, quantitatively and qualitatively and analyze the forecast productivity of an excavation. So this was a really good success story of, probably a benchmark plan, do, check, act work that an mining engineer can do on a mine site to really make sure that, while planning for the mine, you highlight the risks and you make sure you have a realistic target to achieve the dig. And also, while you're highlighting the risk, you might actually find opportunities to improve that excavation before it happens. That way, that actually gets into a continuous improvement loop. So I guess the outcome of that is, so we had at Drayton, we had the best performing, 250 500s across global Anglo-American, which was excellent. Which was something we were quite really proud of. Then about 2.5 years, I worked at Drayton as a mining engineer. I jumped ship to another company, a local company called Whitehaven Coal. Local, I mean New South Wales. And in there, I mean, it's again a coal mine, Taronga mine. It was a smaller mine, only about 40 million BCM or 25 million BCM of waste, with smaller diggers compared to Drayton. But the opportunity there was Whitehaven was quite lean, meaning that the structure of the team didn't have many resources. And so I can say that I was pretty much the only engineer, mining engineer by trade in the mine, which was quite exciting because it actually pushed me to the places that I never thought I would go, like driving trucks. So we used to jump in the trucks on hot seating, which is like lunchtime when the actual operators have a break, you jump on the trucks as a staff member and you keep the circuit running. So that was awesome. I certainly recommend anyone across the world to actually do that as a mining engineer when you're young. Jump in the heavy equipment, learn how to operate it. You don't think that you are busy. Like I've done this at my busiest probably job. There's always time, and the insights you will gain just doing that will actually help you do your job a lot easier and quicker. So because the mine was lean, and it was also quite high strip ratio of 9:1, so that is quite high. We actually went through some really difficult financial downturn at the time, which it's quite cyclic. It happens in mining, but it took more than 4 years to recover. Throughout that time, I was in this mine, and we actually came up with some innovative mining solutions, and the team there, really got together to get that going, which I'll talk about in a second. And also, you can see there's a peg over there. So, as I said, I pushed myself to do a survey. I've done survey for months. Because I actually help geologists a fair bit, and really help drill blast. So going through all of those stuff, you actually learn and also teach, because you actually find the gaps that some other person in that job probably wasn't thinking. So I definitely recommend trying to jump into those opportunities when you see that change. So custom dorsal push is something we heavily worked on to optimize at Taronga, and we did that. And I hope you can see the slide. So that was a typical bench, high wall design, topography. That's the pit floor, let's say. So the state at the time was we used to excavate the top, and then cast and dorsal push the bottom. So, however, we know that cast and dorsal push is the cheapest way of mining if it's done right, and if the sequence works for the mine for coal and Covey. So we actually made it work by actually doing the change management and actually showing that we can actually cast and dorsal push the upper sequence, which is a lot more volume, by getting maybe a few more doses, and upper material is actually more weathered, so it's actually easier to push, and you actually get better angles and at pushing initially, so it's also quicker to push. So we had a massive win out of this project. So consistently in the 4 years that I've been there, we increased production every single year by almost 10%, which was ridiculous, but it happened. So we pretty much used the doses like an additional excavator that's actually creating coal and Covey for us. So that was super exciting, and I try to replicate this wherever I go, and I usually get really good feedback and success. At Taronga, so it's a small mine. Can't afford to have like a fancy fleet management system. they used to actually write their production records on paper. So we actually switched them to a tablet-based system, which was pretty much worked on Wi-Fi trailers and just Samsung tablets, just generic tablets, and with an app for the operator to log in their times and what they're doing. So it has like load, dump, empty kind of circle for the trucks. So that has been a great project for me to actually implement the new technology and actually train the operators, jump in the trucks, troubleshoot. I never thought I would do IT work in mining engineering, but I really enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. So don't. I guess my advice is don't get stuck into just mining. There's so many aspects in mining engineering. Make sure you choose the one that actually suits your skills and strengths. And of course, at Canada, in where I was living where I was working for at Taiwan, Deniz and Melek was born. So that those events actually definitely teaches you, being a father and having a family like that actually gives you a lot of gratitude and towards everything in life, and you pretty much thank for every day. Certainly a game changer. So expect that if you're planning to have kids, expect a big change, and that will change your perspective on your life goals as well. Certainly. So after Tarawonga, I jumped into next door pretty much, which was Bogabrai mine, again a coal mine, but really high quality coal mine with extremely low ash coal going to PCI and semi-soft market, and shipped to Japan to either power plants or smelters. So this was an interesting experience for me because the mine was going from a contractor operator, like a downer operator mode. So Idemitsu was the owner, but downer was the contractor to running the pit. But when they hired me, they actually just changed to running the mine themselves, and they were forming a new tech services team. So pretty much I found myself actually starting to really build a team, and also go through a very challenging period of multiple recovery plans. Because of that transition, we lost some productivity along the way, so the plan was behind. The mine was behind of the plan, so we had to actually also implement quite technical, innovative solutions while we were building the team. So that required a lot of commitment and passion to keep going every day, which I think went really well. So as you can see, the mine is very interesting. You can grab this photo from Google. It has a pit here. It has its northern pit, and it also had this western pit. So it's like a C-shaped pit with the dump squeeze in the middle. Certainly a very challenging pit to try and keep things replicable and trying to keep things working, particularly extremely challenging, but very, very satisfactory as well. Really good culture. So what I learned at that mine as a team leader, so this is my team on my last day photo. It's great that they're happy that I'm leaving. But that building that team required a lot of activities outside work, and really bonding with the personalities and understanding their needs and what they want to do in life as well. I think that's something I really practiced at this mine in this role, and I was quite lucky to do that. The challenging bit in, for example, Canada, where these mines are, is to actually keep these professionals on mine sites, because usually when engineers get a couple of years of experience, they choose to go to the cities or change jobs. So there's a lot of turnaround of engineers. So it's extremely important to have that culture straight away in the team. Whatever happens, that you keep that culture to make sure that you can rely on your people to get the job done. And then pretty much Brisbane. So back to the city after 9 years of site work, living in towns with only 40,000 people. It was a good game changer for us, I guess, for the family, definitely. So we made the call because my wife wasn't working, and she wasn't doing her profession, which is aeronautical engineering. So I think we did the right choice, and this job came up. I got the job, and we made the call to come. So now I'm working as a principal mine planner for the mine planning team in Brisbane, which is about 65 mining engineers that looks after 10 mines. So that's quite an exciting job. So you see almost every mine with a different project. So that's extremely interesting stuff. Of course, with BHP and maturity of knowing your purpose and vision becomes quite clear that with the assets that BHP has, there are a lot of opportunities in that sense to understand where your vision actually works well with BHP, which I'll get to. And I really, with this role of medium to long term planning, coming from sites in short term and actually doing medium to long term planning, I really think I was able to connect the site knowledge into the future. So certainly I see a lot of engineers that doesn't have that site knowledge struggling to actually connect the dots. So that's why I would definitely recommend doing that site experience for sure, at least 5 years. Make sure that you get that under your belt if you would like to proceed. And of course, massive company. So diplomacy and politics is extremely important, and managing that, being wise about it, like making sure understanding what the politics is more critical than playing the game. So BHP is, as you guys probably have heard, is a leading global resources company, and its purpose is to bring people and resources together to build a better world. So it's in coal, copper, iron ore, nickel, petroleum, and potash. The biggest revenue producer is the iron ore in Western Australia. Coal changes from middle, sometimes bottom, depending on the cycle of coal prices. Yeah, so this is actually a software that I'd like to mention. It is from Precision Mining. If you search for Precision Mining, you'll find their website from Brisbane. And this is a software that I've been luckily using for 9 years. I started using it at Drayton, which was when they were just developing it. And I've actually used it at Tarrawonga because I really wanted a short-term supply model to get things done, which really worked well. I used that at Bokapai for short-term again and medium-term. Now, with all of that short and medium-term supply knowledge, I actually brought that into BHP and really helped the teams in BHP to upskill themselves and standardize their and softwares across mine sites. So it's a very visual tool. You import your reserves, great pricing. So you can do dig, dump, and haulage planning in one package. And it's very quick to run and extremely customizable, I guess. So if you want to get into it, you need to start quite simple. Is extremely important because it could get quite complicated as you add things on, and it's not good for the sustainability of the model. And it doesn't do reserving itself, so you have to reserve outside and bring it in. Otherwise, yeah, amazing tool, great reporting things as well. So feel free to ask more questions about it if you're interested to know more about it. Here you can see peak downs, mine, and the diggers are going through whole roads to dump. You pretty much teach the software to do that in a schedule. Another project that I've been heavily working at BHP is actually haulage planning calibration. So how do we plan our trucks in the medium to long term? And we did a breakthrough project on this, on the try to show the benchmark haulage planning calibration for the business, and we will use this to define the processes for engineers to do the haulage calibration in the near future. So that was a lot of fun. So you get a lot of data from different things, like the fleet management systems, the GPS data, the VIM systems in the CAT trucks. You get all of that actual data and actually look at real life values of rolling resistance, corner speeds, truck without rim curves or payloads. And then you try to ensure that you get the right numbers to go into the model. And that's quite a journey, and I find that it's the pinnacle of open pit mining in technical space. So you do your normal mining engineering on site. You in different jobs, not just you do excavators, you do drag lines, you do dozer push, and even maybe a bit of other things like geology survey, and then you get to medium-term planning and scheduling. And then it's probably the last bit you do to make sure you know how to do haulage planning. It is a bit quite a demand at the moment to get this right. Because automation is coming as well. So these are all public news. So Goonyella Riverside is a huge mine with I think 80 to 90, 86 trucks. Andonia as well, I think 34 trucks. So all of these trucks will be converted to autonomous trucks in about a year or two, which is crazy when you think about it, but it's happening. So there's and of course they're all public. The promise is not to cut people, but to actually upskill them to be able to run these systems, and you get to benefit on other things. So really exciting times to actually be at BHP, and in large scale mining, really, because it's not happening just in BHP. There's actually other companies that have been running it for a while in Western Australia. Certainly interesting from mine planning and design point of view, which we'll find out soon. So just summarizing, my question is probably to you: do you guys want to work at a place where your purpose matches the purpose of the company? So I guess the message here is make sure you get a personal purpose for your life, and there's a process to do that, and I can share how to do that at today's stage. But when I compare my personal purpose to BHP purpose, it actually works quite well at the moment, and I'm quite proud about it and happy about it. And when you have a purpose, it actually makes life decisions quite easy. And when you are under pressure to make a call on a certain decision, you can always go back to your purpose, and that will actually drive a quick decision. And that quick decision will actually enable you to push forward. So for me, it's those around me matches with people, environment matches with the resources in BHP, and I'd like to nurture. So I'd like to get a better world, which BHP does. I know these are quite corporate kind of lingo in no other context, but this is something I'm feeling and living, and it's inside me. So that's why I really want to share with you fellow students. And of course, the journey doesn't stop. Learning continues. I sometimes make an analogy on this of, you know, you're climbing a mountain, but there's fog at the top, so you think you're almost about at the top, and then the fog disappears, and then you see the mountain just keeps going, and then the same thing happens and happens again. So the only way I feel to deal with that is to continuously grow. So that's why I'm doing an MBA, although I have 2 master's degrees, because, you know, one thing is you sometimes get to the stage that you probably need a bit of a push to keep learning. So a course is great for that. But if you're a self-learner, you probably don't need an MBA. You can probably learn all the stuff that MBA just online. So it's a choice thing, definitely, and I can discuss this more as well in detail. So as a summary, what's the takeaway? Please have a purpose and vision. And again, we were talking about networking. So network with the right people, but not just network. Make sure you connect at different levels, not just work. So that will actually help you along the way, big time, to actually both as role modeling and, you know, understanding how they could have reacted to a situation, and actually watching them in that sense as they act their roles in the companies, for example, that you work for, is or at work or at school. The teachers, how they act at school, how they teach their lessons. If you find a really interesting one, hold on to that and really get what they're trying to sell or tell. And that way you can exploit and take your opportunities. Those opportunities could be going to a master's degree, or it could be, coming to Canada or Australia for work, or, you know, it could be starting a business in Turkey. Could be many things. And make quick mistakes, and learn and never give up. And make sure you have you apply, plan, do, check, that cycle to your life. That's extremely important. So you can always reflect on what you're doing. So I'll finish probably with this quotation. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. And that's certainly the case. As you grow in your career, it becomes more important on what you become, what you have become, than as well as what you achieved. What you have become really shines through other people and really helps you in the future. Question times.
Thank you for your presentation.